Dear students, Assalamu alaikum. Today we will discuss Woodward-Fieser rules. These rules are important to estimate the maximum absorption of the compound. So it provides theoretical value for the lambda max. So by using these rules, we can predict that what will be the lambda max for our compound. For these, we should know some terminologies like homoannular dienes and heteroannular dienes. So what are the homoannular dienes? The two conjugated double bonds in the same cyclic ring produces homoannular diene. So here we have shown an example, two rings and the two double bonds are present in the same ring. In this case, the lambda max for this will be the 253 nanometer, which is also called as base value for homoannular dienes. For heteroannular dienes, the two conjugated double bonds are present in the two separate rings, but conjugation is still present. So in this case, the lambda max will be less than the homoannular diene, which will be 214 nanometer. In case of acyclic dienes, the trans form is most preferable, and in this case the lambda max will be 217 nanometer. In case of cis, it will be greater. The next terminology which we use in this case is the exocyclic double bond. Exocyclic double bond is the double bond in conjugated backbone which is outside the ring such that one carbon of the double bond is the part of the ring. Here we are going to show an example. Like here we have this conjugated system, and in this conjugation this double bond is the part of the conjugation, and this carbon of the double bond is also the part of this cyclic ring. So against this cyclic ring, this here is the exocyclic bond. Similarly, for this ring, this double bond is the exocyclic because of this double bond. Now we are moving to the Woodward-Fieser rules for alkenes or homoannular and heteroannular dienes. And after this, we will study for alpha beta unsaturated carbonyl system and aromatic compounds. So generally, ethanol is used as a solvent, and change of the solvent will have little effect on the lambda max due to non-polar nature of the alkenes or unsaturated compounds. For acyclic diene, the lambda max will be 217 nanometer, heteroannular diene 214 nanometer, and homoannular diene the lambda max is 253 nanometer. Increments for each extended conjugation will be 30 nanometer. It means the after homoannular, heteroannular or acyclic diene, if the conjugation increases, for each double bond 30 nanometer will be added in the base value. Exocyclic double bond 5 nanometer will be the increment, so this value will be added in the base value. Alkyl group or ring residue, for alkyl group or ring residue 5 nanometer increment will be added. For chlorine and bromine 5 nanometer, or ether group 6 nanometer, thiol group SR 30 nanometer, and amino group or NR2 60 nanometer increment will be used. Now we are going to make some examples on this system. Like here we have a compound which is acyclic diene, and the acyclic diene is in trans form, which is highlighted. So conjugation is highlighted with the highlighter. In this case the base value will be 217 nanometer, and these are the alkyl residues present with the conjugation system. So 1, 2, 3 and 4 alkyl groups are ring residues which increases the base value 217 plus 20. So it gives 237 nanometer, which is the predicted lambda max. If we observe this value for this compound experimentally on UV visible spectrophotometer, the observed value was 236 nanometer, which is closely matching this theoretical value. Similarly, we are going to take another example. Here we have heteroannular diene because the unsaturation is present in both ring, and it gives 214 nanometer base value. Here we have a carbon atom which is sp3 hybridized, so conjugation is not extended towards this one, and it produces the 5 nanometer increment, this one and this one. So three are the alkyl residues, and for this cyclic ring, this is the exocyclic bond, which is the part of the conjugated system, and this carbon is the part of this ring. Now the value will be 214 plus 15 plus 5, 234 nanometer, and observed or experimental value for this compound is 235 nanometer, which is also closely matched. The example of homoannular diene, here we have shown an example which gives base value of 253 nanometer along with these alkyl residues which are encircled, and so these will it will produce 20 nanometer increment. And again for this ring, this is the exocyclic double bond, this one, and it produces 5 nanometer increment. In this way, 253 plus 20 plus 5, so it gives 278 nanometer of the increment. Next example, here we have a system with conjugation, but in this case here, if we look at here, it is heteroannular, but due to this ring it is homoannular. Again this is heteroannular. So homoannular gives maximum absorption, which is 253 nanometer. Its lambda max is more than heteroannular, so we will take this one homoannular as a base value, and the base value is preferred for the lambda max which is greater in value. So here we have 253 nanometer plus extended conjugation, so 30 nanometer extended here, and for this extended conjugation 30 nanometer increment will be here, so both gives 60 nanometer. Here are the ring residues, so 5 ring residues with the conjugation and 3 exocyclic bonds, so it produces 353 nanometer. If we look at this example, here we have homoannular diene and 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 ring residues, and in this case here is also a conjugation with this system, but it is cross conjugation. So cross conjugation will have no effect on the lambda max, so it will give no increment with cross conjugation. So it is not the extended conjugation. Extended conjugation should be like this in series, so cross conjugation will have no effect, and 3 exocyclic bonds, so it will give 293 nanometer. And in this example, here we have the conjugation, but this conjugation is inside the ring, so it is not the open acyclic cis conformation, it is actually the heteroannular diene. So for heteroannular diene, the lambda max is 214 nanometer. For this ring, this double bond is exocyclic, and against this ring, this is the exocyclic. So 2 exocyclic double bond and 4 are the ring residues, which produces 20 nanometer increment. So 214 plus 20 plus 10. So 244 nanometer lambda max for this compound. Now we are moving towards the Woodward-Fieser rules for alpha beta unsaturated carbonyl system. So the compounds which contain carbonyl group along with alpha beta unsaturation. So what will be the rules for this one? So the substituent will affect the position of the substituent will be the important during this case. So here is the carbonyl group, this is the alpha carbon, beta, gamma and delta carbon. So position will be more important. And the other thing is the effect of solvent, which is also effective in this case because of the polar nature of the carbonyl group. So in this case, the more polar will be the solvent, more will be the lambda max, or the lambda max will be increased, or bathochromic effect will occur. And the next thing is the value mentioned here will be from pi to pi star transition, and the solvent will be ethanol. So we are going to giving the base values according to ethanol solvent system. So base values for acyclic, six-membered cyclic and six-membered cyclic ketones. So base value for acyclic ketones are six-membered cyclic ketones. The base value will be 215 nanometer. For 5-membered cyclic ketones, base value will be 202 nanometer. For aldehydes, 207 nanometer. For carboxylic acids or esters, the value will be 195 nanometer. These are the base values for these type of compounds. For increments, extended conjugation again will increase our lambda max to 330 nanometer. Homodiene will add 39 nanometer with the base value. Exocyclic double bond produce 5 nanometer increment. And the substituent effect for alkyl group. If alkyl group is present at alpha carbon, the increment will be 10 nanometer. For beta carbon, it will be 12 nanometer. For gamma, 18 nanometer, and for delta, 18 nanometer. Similarly, if hydroxyl group is attached at the alpha carbon, the increment will be 35 nanometer, 30 nanometer, and similarly 30 and 50 nanometer for delta. For ether group, 35 nanometer increment will be produced if it is present on the alpha carbon, 30 nanometer if it is present on the beta carbon, and 17 nanometer at gamma carbon. Other groups are also present here, which shows different values of the increment. Like here we have acetyl group which produces 6 nanometer increment for each alpha, beta, gamma or delta. For SR group, at beta position the increment will be 85, but in case of alpha, gamma it will remain same. For amino group or NR2, 95 nanometer increment will be at beta position. For chlorine, 15 nanometer at alpha and 12 nanometer at beta, gamma or delta. And for bromine, 25 nanometer increment at alpha, 30 nanometer at beta, 25 nanometer at gamma and delta. The next thing which is important during these videos is the solvent correction. This solvent correction is for alpha beta unsaturated carbonyl system, not for alkenes or homo heteroannular dienes. So if we are going to use water instead of ethanol, 8 nanometer increment will be produced. So bathochromic, it will be, the effect will be bathochromic, and lambda max will be shifted 8 nanometer towards right or towards the red shift. Therefore, the 8 nanometer increment will be used. For chloroform, which is less polar, minus 1 nanometer, and hexane or cyclohexane will affect, and it will lower down the lambda max up to minus 11 nanometer, and ether minus 7 nanometer will be added. So it will decrease lambda max with 7 nanometer. Now we are going to take examples of this system. Here we have shown the keto group. So this keto group with alpha beta unsaturation. This whole produces lambda max of 215 nanometer. At alpha position there is alkyl methyl group which gives 18 nanometer extension, which gives, and at beta the 12 nanometer will be added to the base value. So the value will be 215 nanometer, which is base value, 10 nanometer for alpha position, 12 nanometer for methyl group at beta position. So the value will be 237 nanometer, and experimentally it was observed that for this compound the value is 238 nanometer. Similarly, another compound, here we have aldehyde group, and this aldehyde group gives base value of 207 nanometer. At alpha position there is bromine which gives 25 nanometer addition to this base value, and beta position this alkyl group gives 12 nanometer addition. So by adding these values it will be 207 plus 25 plus 12, it will give 244 nanometer of the lambda max. Now we are going to take some other examples. Here we have carboxylic group. So this carboxylic group with alpha beta unsaturation gives 195 nanometer of the lambda max base value, and at beta position there are two alkyl groups, so 24 nanometer will be added to this one. Here we have ketone and alpha beta unsaturation here in the ring, and this alpha alkyl residue, this is beta alkyl residue, and it produces 237 nanometer. Here we have pentacyclic or 5-membered cyclic ketone, and this 5-membered cyclic ketone with alpha beta unsaturation will give base value of 2022 nanometer. At alpha position there is a hydroxyl group, which is due to which 35 nanometer is added to this base value, and this beta position there are two alkyl residues 12 and 12, so 24 nanometer will be added to this one. So 202 plus 35 plus 24 gives 261 nanometer. Here we have 6-membered cyclic ketone with alpha beta unsaturation, and here is also alpha beta unsaturation, but these are the cross conjugation, so we will take that conjugation which gives a greater value of the lambda max. So if we look at here, it will give greater value of the lambda max because of this these two alkyl residues at the beta position 12 plus 12, but in this case if we look at here at beta carbon there will be only one alkyl residue. Similarly here there is no exocyclic double bond, but in this case there will be an exocyclic, so 5 nanometer will be added more in this. So in this case 215 plus 24 plus 5, so 244 nanometer will be the lambda max. In this case there is hexacyclic, so base value will be 215 nanometer plus extended conjugation 1 2, so two extended conjugations are present, which due to which 60 nanometer will be added, and at delta carbon there will be 18 nanometer addition with the base value, and here is the alkyl group which gives 12 nanometer addition, and there is one exocyclic double bond because of this ring, and so here is this double bond is exocyclic from this ring, so this is the 5 nanometer addition with this base value, and it will be 310 nanometer. Now the last one is the absorption or lambda max of the aromatic compounds. It is also important, so we should know what will be the values of the aromatic compounds. There are no specific rules, but we should remember the values. Like if case of benzene, it displays 3 absorption bands due to pi to pi star transition, 184 nanometer, 204 nanometer, and between 230 to 270 nanometer. But if we look at the molar absorptivity of 3 of these, the maximum molar absorptivity is the 60,000 epsilon, and the next one is a 7400. But these two having good molar absorptivity, but these cannot be detected in UV visible spectrophotometer because of the low range of the lambda max. Therefore, we usually take this one from 230 to 270 nanometer with the molar absorptivity of the 200, and lambda max is at 254 nanometer. It gives multiple peaks like we have shown here in the graph, and from 230 to 270 nanometer multiple peaks of the benzene will appear with lambda max of 254 nanometer. Substitution on benzene ring causes bathochromic effect, and also the addition of the further rings or fused rings also causes bathochromic effect. Intensity may increase or decrease, it depends on the situation. So now we are going to take some examples of the aromatic compounds and their lambda max, like benzene 254, toluene 261, chlorobenzene 264, phenol 270, aniline 280, benzaldehyde 280, nitrobenzene 280, benzoic acid 273 nanometer, acetophenone 278 nanometer, and these are the fused ring of benzene. Naphthalene contains two fused benzene ring which gives 312 nanometer. Anthracene contains 3 ring 380 nanometer, and phenanthrene also contains 3 ring which are fused with different structure, so it gives 330 nanometer. So here we have discussed all type of lambda max, or the maximum absorption, or the peak which a compound may show. So these all these values are the predicted or experimentally determined values. So Woodward-Fieser rule gives us the theoretical way of finding lambda max. So thanks for watching my video.